I think it's just an easy way to do it, isn't it? The block editing, is that the next one?
Yeah, next down is block editing. That's if you want to take out groups of numbers without having to tediously go down and do each number. You can just scroll down till you get to the part where you want to take something out or put something in.
Yeah, some people like to take that block editor and regardless what their program has in it already, scroll it all the way from 0 to 95 and then just put in those numbers. Say, hey, take everything out, put just those numbers in that they want, or vice versa, take everything in, take out just those numbers.
Let me make an important point here is when using this disk editor, if you are out hunting and you happen to be getting a target that reads good like a coin, even though it's not a coin, you're going to make a mistake if you go in and take those particular numbers out, because if you do that, you're actually rejecting the coin too. So you have to be careful on what kind of targets that you take out and what kind of targets that you take out of there, because you don't want to take out something that reads like a coin, because then you're not going to get a coin. So you got to be careful with changing the disk editor.
And of course that brings up, why do we put accepts and rejects different combinations in different programs? And we have the coin program or the jewelry program or the beach program. There are situations where we have a program, for example, the basic coin program would take out most of the trash items. Well, along with those happen to go some rings. So we have another program that has those in there. You're going to have to pull out pull tabs if you want to get most of the rings. Those are all controlled by what numbers we put in or what numbers we take out. Factories put in some really good programs here with our help and a lot of treasure hunters' help, but you can go in there and modify it and create your own programs. Using this editing, you can make your programs fit your particular need.
Right.
That's right. You know, with the number of targets that are in the ground and the length of time that we've been making coins, particularly in this country, there are some coins that are not going to show up as labels or icons. Our gold coins won't show up as labels or icons.
That's right.
3-cent pieces, half dimes, things like that.
Canadian coins.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And foreign coins.
Foreign coins.
And jewelry items can run the whole length of the scale.
Absolutely.
So while the labels and icons are very important, and a quarter is usually going to be a quarter icon, it doesn't mean that a quarter icon is a quarter.
No, and we hunt in England, you or both of you do, and over there we have nothing that really fits the icon. And we get to know a Roman coin might be in this category, and you just look at those numbers. You find that numbering is very important just to help identify. Yeah.
Now we'll go down to the next one. We've got learn accept. What you're doing here is, there again, it's possible if you want to take a particular target out or in this case we're in the accept range, so we're in learn accept. So if we want to make this machine accept a particular target, we can just simply lay the target down on the ground, turn on, wave it over 2 or 3 times across the target, and you'll hear it start coming in on the audio, and you'll actually be detecting that particular target. Make sure after you do that you go back and turn learn accept off. If you don't, you're just going to accept everything that you come across from there on out. So you have to physically go back and turn learn accept off when you're finished with it.
And it's even more important when you're putting learn reject, because again, you're waving a target in front of it or doing it on the ground is the best place to do it, because it takes the ground into consideration, and you've rejected that target, and if you forget to turn it back off again, you walk around and little by little you're going to reject everything. Before you know it, your detector is not a metal detector anymore.
Right.
Okay.
If you go down one more, we're going to find learn reject, which is just the opposite. We're going to, you're going to teach the detector to reject a particular object. And here again, let me remind you not to reject a bad target that is reading like a good target, because when you do that, you're going to reject the good target as well. Here again, you have to turn this feature off when you're finished with it, or else it's going to go ahead and reject everything as you're hunting.
Yeah, this is an interesting one that you can sort of play with. You can have a little fun. We had a fellow the other day come into our shop, and he was trying to find electrical plugs that go on top of the receptacle, the brass plate, and they had taken and carpeted over the entire floor. He didn't know where they were anymore. And he took one of those things and memorized it by waving it on the loop, memorized it in, took all the other numbers out, and just walked over that floor, and there was rebar in the floor. Steel didn't come up, and he hit that electrical plug.
That's neat.
Yeah.
Go down once more. We have recovery speed.
This is set just about in the middle.
It's mid-range
and
there.
This is probably the most practical area for recovery speed. that is, if you want your detector to, if you have an area that's high in junk, you probably want to have a higher recovery, a faster recovery speed, because the detector then will be able to read the bad target and let go of it fast enough to read a good target closer to it. So the recovery speed in this instance would be wanting to increase if it's a high junk area. If it's a low junk area, you don't have to worry about that. You want a lower recovery speed. Lower recovery speed gives you a chance to lock on and give you a proper reading. So the slower the speed of recovery, the more solid and accurate the reading will be when you go over the target.
And many times you'll get as many as 4 or 5 readings in one sweep of the coil, and the recovery speed will allow you to separate them better.
Right.
So basically what recovery speed is how fast the detector will process one target and is ready to accept the next target.
That's right.
If you slow it down, that process is not as fast, and of course if you speed it up, it's fast. So, you know, if it's trashy, you want a fast recovery speed. If it's not too trashy, you might want to slow your recovery speed down, because one of the drawbacks of having too fast a recovery speed is you're giving up a little bit of depth.
And you're giving up an accurate reading because the detector doesn't have time to respond to the target.
So don't use more than you need.
That's right. That's why they have it set just about the middle.
Right. If you go down one more, we have bottle cap reject. What this feature does is actually increases the bias that the detector has to iron. If you turn up the bottle cap reject, make it a higher number, you're going to make the detector break up, give a more broken tone on an iron object. You want to experiment with this machine in your particular ground. You don't want to run too much bottle cap in most areas, or it could actually start breaking up good targets. So you might want to experiment with that.
I might mention those good targets happen to be nickels and gold rings. And you're right, you want just enough breakup to give you a clue that this is a nickel, a bottle cap, not break up so much that nickels and gold rings are going to do that too.
Right. You don't want to use that feature to totally reject iron where it doesn't even make a sputter on iron, because you're going to be losing some targets when you do that.
Yeah.
Part of metal detecting with any metal detector is learning the different sounds. What's a good sound, what's a bad sound.
Yeah.
There's not a metal detector made that I know of that'll go out there and only make a sound on a good target. It's just not, that technology is not there. Yeah. So that's part of metal detecting. Part of learning is the good sounds and the bad sounds.
That's right.
If we go down one more, we have the visual discriminator, and it's on.
And in most cases, the visual discriminator is on. That would tell you that everything you had set as an accepted number is going to show up. And those items that are rejected numbers won't bother showing up.
On the screen.
On the screen.
Right.
You're going to hear whatever the situation is depending upon your audio discrimination, which I think was part of the basic options.
Right.
But the visual discriminator, you can turn it off. It says on or off. And if you turned off the visual discriminator, it would mean that all targets would show up on the screen.
Whether you hear it through the audio or not.
That's right. You're going to see everything that detector goes over, negative or positive, iron or not, and it's going to read a number on the screen.
So
and
with
there
it
may be a
on-
few instances where you would want to see every target. It's a little bit difficult to work that way. That's for a professional to make that decision. But the beginner should certainly not turn off the visual discriminator.
Right, right.
Go down once again, and we have the icons. That's a new feature that's just been put on this new detector. I think it's really going to catch on fast.
They're sharp.
Yeah. The icon is a little graphic image on the screen, a little symbol that that's giving you an indication as to what's in the ground. It usually, if you look over here on your VDI scale, you have a VDI number, and if you look over to the side, it gives you the label of what that probable target is. What they've done, White's, has just changed. Instead of printing out penny dime on the screen, they now have a little icon, a little symbol of a penny or a dime. So this feature here either lets you turn the icon on or lets you turn it off.
And it doesn't indicate the exact item that you're looking at in the ground. You might misunderstand that this is not a video screen.
Not a picture, right?
No, but it does indicate what it takes place of the label.
Right.
It used to be, instead of labeling penny dime,
It's
it
just a
shows you
symbol.
and it's much easier, by the way, when we were testing this, I noted, again, my bifocals, and you get older, you'll know these things, see, Andy? When you look at arm's length and you see a word, sometimes it gets pretty hard to read them. When you see an icon, immediately, you're getting that message to the brain. It's a picture. Picture is worth 1,000 words.
Really helps your brain process what's there,
I need all of that.
Makes it quicker. Need help on that?
Yeah.
Okay, we go down once again. and we've got BDI sensitivity.